Hope we're all doing well. A lot has happened. It's been almost 2 weeks since I last was doing this cast. So let's jump right in. We got the NBA Finals going on. Last night, Golden State evened the series at 1 game apiece. They beat Boston 107 to 88. Big game for Steph Curry. He was hitting shots left and right. Jordan Poole had a crazy shot in that game, like almost half court, basically. Absolutely drained it. Curry, 29 points in the game. Tatum, 28 points in the loss. And that's all I already got for NBA. Should be a very good series. Game 3 of the finals will be Wednesday at 9 o'clock on ABC. Game 3, so that series is tied one game apiece. The series shifts to Boston, so we'll see. Boston looked very good in Game 1. They came from behind, huge fourth quarter in that game. But Golden State blew them out of the water in Game 2. Since I last was doing this, the NBA awards were starting to come out. We had the MVP of the league is Nikola Jokic for the second straight year. Nikola Jokic was named the league's most valuable player. He beat out Joel Embiid and Giannis. The Rookie of the Year was Scotty Barnes. He beat out Evan Mobley. Coach of the Year went to Monty Williams. He helped lead the Suns to the best record in the NBA this year. The Defensive Player of the Year was Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart was named Defensive Player of the Year. The Los Angeles Lakers have found a new coach. They hired Darvin Ham as the next head coach. He will sign a 4-year deal to be the next head coach of Los Angeles Lakers. He's been an assistant coach for the Milwaukee Bucks for quite a while now. He's been a top head coach candidate in the NBA for quite a few seasons, and he finally gets his chance. He will be the next head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. I thought it was an interesting hire. I have some thoughts on it that I want to share. I think Darvin Ham is going to be the excellent head coach in the NBA for a long time. He's paid his dues, been an assistant for a long time. He's worked under Mike Budenholzer when he was in Atlanta, and for his entire tenure in Milwaukee. He's definitely deserving of a head coaching position. We're going on at least probably 3-4 years now where he's been a top candidate. But the Lakers, I feel like they really need someone that, like a veteran and experienced coach that can handle that locker room, that can kind of tell LeBron, hey, when LeBron tries to coach, he tries to run that team, to kind of back off. Clearly, that didn't work last year. That's why you don't let a player run your organization. It doesn't work. So I thought maybe someone like Kenny Atkinson, who was very much so in the mix. I think they took a look at Terry Stotts, former Portland Trailblazers coach at one point. I think he possibly could have been a better fit. But we'll see how Darvin Ham does. He has been as an assistant for a while. He's worked under a good coach in Mike Budenholzer for a while. He's coached some really good players. In Atlanta, he had, Paul Millsap in his prime, and he had, a young Al Horford, Jeff Teague, Kyle Korver in his prime. In Milwaukee, of course, he's got to coach Giannis, one of the best players in the world, and some other really good players such as Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton. And now he'll be working with a couple of other really good players, of course, from LeBron James and Anthony Davis. So, Super Lakers 2 minutes lost season. See what happens with Russell Westbrook. What is LeBron Lakers' next move? But they have found their next coach. It is Darvin Ham. And yesterday they hired former player Rip Hamilton as an assistant coach. As for the NHL Conference Finals going on, my New York Rangers, of course, their magical run continue, but the Lightning did beat them last night. Tampa won 3-2 in Game 3. Andre Palat, the game winner, with about 42 seconds left. Rangers still win the series 2-1. Of course, Tampa is heavily favored, being the 2-time defending Stanley Cup champions. The Rangers will not expect to even be at this point. The Rangers still lead 2-1. So then we got Colorado Avalanche against Edmonton Oilers, Game 4. Colorado leads 3-0. Edmonton is down to Vander Kane. He's been a big piece since they picked him up after he was let go by San Jose. He leads all skiers with 13 postseason goals this year. He's suspended for the game for thwarting Nazem Kadri of the Colorado Avalanche. Kadri will miss the rest of the series, which may only be this one game, because Colorado wins. They will complete the sweep of Edmonton. and they will move on to the Stanley Cup final. As for MLB, last night we had Padres over the Brewers 6-4, Mariners over the Rangers 6-5, Braves over the Rockies 8-7, Red Sox over the Athletics 5-2, Mets over the Dodgers 5-4 in 10 innings, Cardinals over the Cubs 5-3, Phillies over the Angels 9-7, Angels have now lost 11 in a row. They are falling apart. Yankees over the Tigers 5-4, Pirates over the Diamondbacks 3-0, Guardians over the Orioles 3-2. We have the Twins over the Blue Jays 8-6. Those are the scores from yesterday. Let's look at the standings. MLB American Central, Twins 32-24, still in first place in that division. Everyone else is under 500. The Guardians are mediocre. White Sox continue to struggle a bit. They got a lot of guys out. The Tigers have been very disappointing this year, just 21-33. And then Kansas City is the worst team in the league at 17-35. American League East, Yankees 39-15, best record in the major, 7.5 game lead in that division. Toronto's at 31-22, Rays 31-23. Both having good years, but the Yankees are head and shoulders in that division. Boston's at 500, and Baltimore is 10 games below. American League West, Houston's running away with that one, 35-19. Angels have lost 11 in a row. Now, what's going on there? 27-28, now a game under 500. A couple weeks ago, they were like a top 5 team in the league, and now they're below 500. Followed by Texas. Seattle's 6 games under 500 here. They're struggling, and Oakland is just deteriorating. They've lost 6 around 9 in the last 10. They're 20-36 by a far distant 5th place in that division. As for the National League Central, Milwaukee Brewers 33-23. They're a half game ahead of St. Louis right now. Brewers, 2 of their top 3 stars are out, and Freddie Peralta and Brandon Woodruff. They have great pitching there, got a lot of depth, so they're still hanging in right now, but Carlos playing well. We're a half game behind Milwaukee in that division. The Pittsburgh Pirates, who are arguably the worst team in the league coming into the year, are actually playing pretty well right now. They're only 24-28. They're only 4 games under 500. A team that we thought would be probably 40 games under 500 at the end of the season. Oh, they still could fall apart, and the good chance they will still fall. Right now, though, aren't playing too bad. Only 4 games under 500. They're in 3rd place in that division. The Cubs 23-32 and the Reds 18-35. Worst team in the National League. They played better. In April, they were 3-18. Since then, they're 15-17. They played better, but still are not having a good year. And the worst team in the National League, 2nd worst team in all baseball. They're besides Kansas City Royals, who are a game worse than them. And their season looks dead in the water already. National League East, my Mets are looking great, 37-19. They have the best record in the National League right now. 2nd best in the major besides the New York Yankees. So the New York teams are 1-2 in the league right now. 8.5 game lead over Atlanta. Atlanta's starting to find their stride. They've won 5 in a row. They're a game over 500 right now at 28-27. The Phillies, of course, a few days ago, fired their manager, Joe Girardi, which, by the way, terrible decision. Their bullpen is horrible. The rotation really isn't that great. Zach Wheeler is a stud. I should have not let him go. But no, Aaron Nola is very inconsistent. Besides the year 2018, where he was finished 3rd in the Cy Young voting, he's been very inconsistent. He's had some injuries, and he's been very mediocre. He's a good middle rotation guy, but he is not an ace. Eflin's all right as your 3rd or 4th starter. Gibson's a decent middle rotation guy. Richard Suarez is an okay 5th starter. So the rotation is meh. Bullpen is awful. Look at the worst defense in the league. Harper having DH, they got to play Kyle Schwarber and Nick Castellanos, 2 awful defenders who would both be getting time at DH otherwise in left and right field every single day. And they got a couple other guys like Alec Boehm and Reese Hoskins out their corners in 1st and 3rd who can't defend. They're an absolute mess right now, 25-29. And in Miami and Washington following that division. National League West, Dodgers 35-19. They're in 1st. 2 games behind them are the San Diego Padres 33-21, followed by the San Francisco Giants, Arizona, and the Colorado Rockies. That's what we got for MLB. We have some golf news. Phil Nicholson has signed with the Saudi Arabian tour that he made the comments about. A few months back. Has not played any sort of golf since then. That he's going to play at the next event in London. And he said he does still plan to play the major, on the PGA Tour. But for now, he's signing with the Saudi Arabian tour. He will play on that tour. So that's very interesting. The next PGA Tour event will be, let's see, Denny Horschel won the Memorial Tournament, his 7th career PGA Tour victory. We have the RBC Canadian Open starting on Thursday. He'll be in Toronto. Rory McIlroy is the defending champion. And then next Thursday is the U.S. Open. It'll be interesting to see if Phil Mickelson plays in that. Bryce DeChambeau's been injured. See if he plays in that. He's one of the top players in the world. But yeah, Phil Mickelson has signed with the Saudi Arabian Tour, and he will be playing on that tour for now. WWE had their Hell in a Cell pay-per-view last night. We started off with a triple threat match for the Royal Women's Championship. Bianca Belair defended against Asuka and Becky Lynch. It was a great match. Bianca Belair came out on top, retained her championship. We had Bobby Lashley in a handicap match against Omos and MVP, was also in the match. This was a pretty good match. It was, wasn't too much hype for this one. It was kind of probably one of those very predictable matches, but it was actually a pretty good match. It was back and forth. Actually, Cedric Alexander, who's been kind of working with MVP and Omos to try to, reform a relationship with MVP and to go at Bobby Lashley. He actually tried to interfere against MVP and Bobby Lashley. MVP was able to snuff him out, but we'll see. Was he now looking to form an alliance with Bobby Lashley? Is he going to change course? Because MVP has been very against Cedric Alexander. He's at times has tried to interfere in their favor, but MVP has obviously disagreed with him in some matters and has not let him reform an alliance. We'll see if Alexander will try to reform an alliance with Lashley or if he was just trying to get back at MVP and try to convince him, you kind of need a win kind of thing. And MVP forms, restarts his own Hurt Business kind of faction with Omos and maybe Cedric Alexander. But Bobby Lashley won that handicap match. We had Ezekiel versus Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens won that match. We had a mixed six-man tag match for the Judgment Day with, of course, it's Edge, Damian Priest, and Rhea Ripley versus AJ Styles, Finn Balor, and Liv Morgan. It was an excellent match. The Judgment Day won. Edge with the spear on Finn Balor, and then the pin to win that match. There was rumors that they may reveal a new member of the Judgment Day. That did not happen. I read an article that Edge dropped some sort of hint towards Paige, who was a former female WWE superstar. She was general manager of SmackDown at one point. She had neck injuries forced her to retire. She's had a couple surgeries. So she hasn't wrestled in quite a few years because she's not medically cleared, but you never know. Maybe things have changed. Remember at one point Daniel Bryan was forced to retire because of neck injuries. And then a few years later, he was able to get cleared after like 3 or 4 years of not being cleared. He was able to return to the ring and continue his career. Of course, now he's in AEW. Ed was forced to retire with neck problems. And then about 9 years later, he was able to get clearance, and of course, was able to return to the ring. And he's been a little more of a part timer. Now he's playing his kind of weird character. But crazy things have happened. There's been superstars in the past who have been told by doctors, unfortunately, because of a certain injury, you're going to have at least one surgery. You'll never wrestle again. Sometimes, several years later, they were able to, to get, in really good shape and were able to return to the ring and get clearance. That was a very good match. Happy Corbin versus Madcap Moss in a no-holds barred match. Madcap Moss won. That was a brutal match. Madcap Moss has actually looked pretty good in the match. He's never looked too good in the ring. He was always kind of being cowed by Happy Corbin, but he looked pretty good in the match. So we'll see what this means for his career. Well, I wonder if that rivalry is done. Theory versus Mustafa Ali for the United States Championship. Austin Theory retained. I think Mustafa Ali they should just let him go. he was off TV for a while. He wanted to be released. They WWE decided to not grant him his release, and he was off television for months. And then he came back, and this feud theory, I think, it's gotten stale. Just one or two things: grant him his outright release, let him go do whatever the heck he wants. And he's at best, he's like a decent mid card guy, nothing more anyway. Or feed him to Roman Reigns, give him a shot at Roman Reigns, let Roman roll past him, and then at that point you either go from there. You release him, or maybe try to see if he can hang around as some sort of mid card guy. The match tonight was clear the main event: Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins inside Hell in a Cell. Okay, Cody Rhodes prior to the match suffered a torn pectoral. He still decided to fight in the match inside Hell in a Cell despite this injury. When he got in the ring, he took off his jacket that he always wears to the ring, and his shoulder and his chest was just like black and blue and red. It was all swollen. It was absolutely insane. Kudos to Cody Rose. That was incredible. That he fought one of the best wrestlers in the world, Seth Rollins, inside Hell in a Cell with a torn pectoral. That was incredible what he did. I don't know how he did it. That was incredible. You could tell he was in pain during the match. Absolutely incredible performance by Cody Rhodes. He wins the match. He addressed the crowd afterwards, thanking them. And we probably won't see him for a while, probably several months. There's a bunch of people that are out in WWE. Charlotte Flair got hurt in her match against Ronda Rousey last month, so she's out for a while. Randy Orton, might be having some sort of back or neck surgery after something in his tag team championship match loss against the Usos. And now Cody Rhodes, who, of course, just returned after he was in the AEW for a while, the guy who basically created that. Tony Khan's the founder, but Cody Rhodes was like really the main guy that they had. He left and went to WWE. I won't see him for a while. I'm interesting, Roman Reigns did not fight at Hell in a Cell. There really is no one, for him to fight. We'll see, Shinsuke Nakamura had the one run-in a while back with the Bloodline. We'll see if he gets a shot. Of course, now he's teaming with Riddle. Riddle tries to get back at the Usos, so the Usos beat him and Randy Orton to unify the tag team championship. Drew McIntyre had his run in. We'll see if Drew McIntyre ever gets a shot. But right now, there really is no one that can really beat Roman. It looks like you might be getting him versus The Rock at WrestleMania, because The Rock, he cleared out his entire schedule for the in correspondence to the lead up to WrestleMania, so that he can I guess feud with Roman Reigns and then lead up to their match at WrestleMania. That'll be interesting. Roman's not he's lightening up his schedule. He might only be there for not too much longer. He might leave the company, so he might go Hollywood. So we'll see what happens. Before we end the show, I want to talk about one note about WWE. For a while now, WWE's been doing these mass releases. I haven't made a lot of sense. They've released a lot of talent over the last several years. Bray Wyatt, Cesaro, Keith Lee. A couple years back when they first started, part of it was because of COVID. Rusev. They let Daniel Bryan's contract expire. They let Adam Cole, who's a top NXT guy, they let his contract expire. And a lot of these guys end up going to AEW. Daniel Bryan, of course, now Bryan Danielson, CM Punk, such return to wrestling, and he went to AEW and not WWE. By the way, CM Punk, he's a complete a-hole. I don't like him. This guy was complaining, I think it was on the Rock championship match when he was 47 years old. Now he goes to AEW at 44 and wins the championship. Of course, now he's got stripped because he's hurt. But he's got a big mouth. I'm glad he's on WWE. He's a great wrestler, but he's not this John Cena kind of blockbuster guy. He's just not. I'm sorry. They got him. Adam Cole went over there. They ended up picking up Keith Lee. They picked up Eric Rowan after he got released. But now, first of all, all these guys that are getting cut left and right, they've stopped. And it appears now that opposed to WWE guys, looking to leave the company and go to AEW. It appears to be the other way around. All of a sudden, now we're looking. The AEW guys are looking to leave the company and go to WWE. You got, Cody Rhodes, who was, like the leader of the pack in AEW. At one point when it first started, after Triple H made some, comments about AEW, basically kind of dissed it in a way. Took a sledgehammer to his famous King of King share, like AEW, like first ever pay-per-view or something. All these years later, Cody Rhodes comes back to WWE, and he's looking like a guy that I think will eventually be a future world champion. He beat Seth Rollins for 3 times in a row. And now you got Max something, the guy who showed up a couple weeks ago. He was under a different name, but he was in AEW at one point. He's in WWE. Of course, you had MJF, probably the best from what I've ever seen. Really called out Tony Khan after they went off the air. Not scripted, he demanded that he fired him. He completely ripped him to shreds, went absolutely scorched earth on him. He's been removed from the roster. His attire has been removed from the AEW like stores and shops, so you can't buy his AEW attire anymore. I hope WWE brings him in because he's a stud. He's one of the best guys in the mic I've ever seen. Even John Cena is one of the greatest, of course, wrestlers ever, and was also great on the mic. One of the greatest ever on the mic. Said that he was very impressed with him. So I would love to see WWE pick him up, but I just wanted to note that the tide appears to be changing. That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you, everyone who listened in. Until next time, so long. Have a great day.